Chris Gerber, Alec Laird, well done to them. And as they go deputy.
And the Garlikis.
Yeah.
Paul Garlicki bred it.
Correct.
You know, and that's why it's so well named, you know.
Yes, very, very well named.
Out of the Argentine man. And he's a fine little horse. He's done very well. He loves Clearwood. And he got a peach of a ride from Anton.
James, just before we wrap, we've got some news about YouTube and that.
Gold Circle Racing on YouTube. Go to Gold Circle Racing, one word. You'll be able to get this show. You can also get the show on Winning Ways on our webpage, Winning Ways webpage, but you can get it now on Gold Circle Racing on YouTube. Mark's put it up, Mark Nimp, he's helped them, he did our webpage for us. And you can also get replays of races with interviews in Gold Circle country. So it's a fantastic innovation from Gold Circle, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to one of the directors sometime down the line about it. But let's move on and have a little break.
Second position, but Military Roses giving them a bath. That's one of the biggest millions I've ever seen. Grace Valana, the leader. Grace Valana. Grace Valana.
Well, it's not coming to me, but anyway, here I am. But Laf's got the first one. It says PL on the top of your list. So
but
you
it's
fire
your
on
call.
away.
We got the readers. So James, there's a bit of a common theme coming through after we had to abandon racing the other day. But let's get on to the other ones. We'll touch on that last.
Yeah, there are a whole lot of emails. We'll talk about those last. Let's go into this lot.
Let's go and get rolling. And now some of these are a bit suspect, I believe, but we will air people's views. And this is from Lionel. The subject is sore losers. You don't wonder too much about it, but here we go. Please, can you understand the presenters are only there to give us a preview on the horses. Everything else they tell us on the screen, you can see for yourself. Again, a lot of people are knocking on that point too, and James, that people keep reading things that are on the screen. But he's just saying, as a punter, you should also use your initiative much, much more than use someone else's initiative. Presenters are just guards there. And don't complain about them. Just use them as a guide. They're trying to give us as much information as possible. And that's his take on it, you know.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. You know, presenters aren't professional tipsters as such. What they are is that they're form readers and studiers, and they're there to give an indication to anyone who's out there that wants to listen to them. I know a lot of people turn the mute button off when there's certain presenters on. But at the end of the day, if you want to listen, he'll try and give you some help as to, or he or she will try and give you some help as to what you should be looking for in structuring your bets. That's the key. It's only a guide.
Yeah. Lionel says here, but I do agree with him that when you got it up on the screen, why are they reading it out to us? Stevie Wonder's not watching.
That's something that's endemic with teletrack.
Correct. It just keeps coming out. You can walk around the room and just take a tip from the boys' Sky Sports News. They got the presenters on. They show their news. They run scrolls here and there, but their main focus is what you're watching, and it's not just boom, boom, boom. People reading out odds.
I agree with you.
Okay, Lionel, thank you very much for that. James, what do you got?
I'm on the next one. Let me just have a check here. This is Ati de Villiers. Now, this is quite an interesting email that he sent, and he's obviously quite an interesting racing fan. He said, just a few things about the guy who complained about Marshall Eagle winning the Met. And obviously this came a month ago, but we do emails every month. I made good money on the horse, just seeing how unlucky he was on the Queen's Plate. On that run, I knew he had a big chance. Okay. Andrew said that for Aldo's sake, he thought it would run in the money, and it paid 10 Rand 30 a place. So that's not bad as well. A horse can win from any draw. I made good money on Pomodoro as well. So he backed Pomodoro. This guy, I want to get his telephone number.
You have to phone him. He's holidaying
About
in the Bahamas.
the presenter's choices, here's another one. He said, you make up your own mind if you want to make money in this game.
Yeah.
And he's 100% right, and we got it from Lionel as well. If Yoga said after the race that he knew he had a good chance, and people complained about not being open to the public, did the people who back run for it? Because Bernard said after the gallops, I will win the Met on this horse.
Did he say which year?
Well, that's right. What was more of a problem, and although I like Stan as a presenter, was his comment in the preview that he didn't see the Met gallops. As a presenter on the big day, he thought that Stan should have seen the Met gallops. Anyway, I'm not so sure that was said or wasn't said. One last commentary, loyalty is part of horse racing. I think if Brett wants Jackson to really become the horse that he is, he should get a more experienced jockey to ride the horse. You cannot keep on the same tactics race after race and keep coming late for second. That's an interesting comment because this kid has been involved with the horse forever.
Yeah, he's a very good rider.
He's a very, very good rider, and I don't think he's inexperienced.
You know, when you're running on for second, invariably this horse has been chasing the horse of the year, Variety Club. Now, Lester Piggott could have ridden it. It wouldn't have been Variety Club over a mile. So, you know, he's got his opinion, and I don't endorse it, but, you know, I think the quote at the time was after the race that Andrew Fortune said this horse will definitely be in the first two. Now they're just twisting it slightly. But anyway, well done to all of them. I think it was a great win. And keep the mail coming in, Ati. Right, George Barnes. Now, some of the stuff hogwash for me, so I've cut a lot of it out, George, so don't get the needle with me. But he said that, I see you mentioned my mails and was very disappointed that you never discussed it. Why are you guys scared to read mails that have facts in them? Armstrong denied everything, and eventually the truth came out. So we need a bit more from you on this, George.
George, just as a matter of interest, we did discuss his emails. Yes. He had 3 pages. We went through them all. We couldn't read them out. We haven't got enough time to read 3 pages of diatribe about, you know, God will strike you down for betting on horses if you,
that's
those type of thing.
Yeah, no, he puts a line in here which is so far off the mark, George, and I have to take you to task on this. Racing is all to do with the punt and the intrigue of pulling off a betting coup. It's the furthest thing from racing. Punting is part of the game, but pulling off betting coups isn't the it's all to do.
That's in the old Damon Runyon stories, pulling off betting coups. Today, people
want transparency. They want to know what's going on.
And he's quite right. He says that some trainers work as commission agents, and that's true, you know, because it's a business, and a business is about your percentages.
Yeah, he's talking about Mr. Millard having to set up horses and go for a punt. We're talking a long time ago.
You know what horse he said? He says Sind. It was Sind, okay, who my grandmother owned and won the guineas. Yeah.
Were you involved?
Yeah, set up a punt.
Anything nefarious and you're involved?
Yeah, it was late Bert Abercrombie, Terence and myself. We set up the punt. I was a kid.
I believe, like casino directors shouldn't be allowed to punt or own horses. Well, I do both. I punt and I own horses, and I ain't going to stop, George. But it's an opinion, and we don't want to bury you completely. Let's try and read it.
Okay, I think we've had enough of George.
Thanks, George. But keep the mail coming in. You know,
thanks, George.
We know we're all in, is it David Ark's world?
George, turn it up about, you know, how bad this is for your life.
Here's another George for you.
There's George Croucher. Aidan Lisco's Legends of the Turf. Now, this is a good email. Page on Facebook is an absolute must for all racing enthusiasts and a real trip down memory lane with loads of comments and racing personalities. I put a video together on YouTube with some of the pictures that are featured on this page. And he goes through the www YouTube /watch V equals Bob V M
Mint
J. Oh no, I can't read this out loud.
Yeah, what he's saying here is it sounds like an advert for Bovril, the way that it's got all these lines in there.
But surely if you just go on YouTube,
I think Aidan Lithgow's always been passionate, same as his father, and he's very, very good. And his Legend stuff's fantastic. Well done to Aidan. Well done to George for bringing this up.
Now, I'll tell you where you get the Legends of the Turf. When you go to the TBA, I think I mentioned it with Tom Callahan in the interview. When you walk in the door of the TBA, next time you go there for the sales, on the right-hand side, they've got the museum.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And they've got cinema that they run every half an hour. They run a half an hour television
on Legends.
cinema of Legends of the Turf, and I think there's 5 of them. There's Sea Cottage, there's Gatecrasher, there's some of those big horses that the list goes have done.
Fantastic.
Just off the top of my head, I remember them. Very well worth going to see.
No, I agree. Thanks very much, George. Good mail, and Aidan, keep up the good work. Right, I've got the next one. It looks like
Hug Helen.
Hugh Ellen. Now, this is very, very, it's from Hugh Crawford, funny enough. And it's very, very good. I'm just going to run through it. Have you noticed the increasing number of birds of the feathered variety that are congregating to feed on our racetracks and thereby posing a distinct threat of serious injury to horses and jockeys during race meetings? While watching replays on Teletrack recently, I've seen a number of near misses at Scottsville, Clarewood, Kenilworth and Turfentine. There was a close call during the Gauteng Guineas, the main race at Turfentine last Saturday, when you could see a large bird flount the path of the front runners with about 300 to go. Fortunately, the bird kept low as far as no horses or jockeys were injured, but the bird must have been killed as it was trampled. At Kenilworth, the guinea fowl seemed particularly dumb. James, you're a carnivore, you'd know more about them than me. As they fly in all directions, all directions when the horse races towards them. Some of the birds are large like hardy-dars and the Egyptian geese, so you can imagine the damage that could be done by horse hitting a bird and the horse is traveling 45 kilometers an hour. If you take into consideration the terrible accident that occurred in Australia a little while ago when horses and jockeys were injured when they raced into a flock of seagulls that never flew away, then surely it is time for our racing officials to take some action, keep birds off our tracks. Therefore, it is a serious accident. James, there is a proviso to this.
Yeah.
Do you want to read it there? You got it there?
Which jockey K-Shay, the rider Rock of Arts, was struck in the face by a bird approximately the 350-meter mark, resulting in being unable to fully assist his mount in the latter stages.
It's a great point.
Yeah. How do you sort it out?
Airports have sorted it out. Airports are with the use of dogs down the runway. You can't have a flock of geese coming in when you've got a Cessna landing. It could be detrimental to everybody. But they've got sirens and things like that. I know many times you see there and you see a whole lot and you see the horses coming towards them and you wonder which one's going to get off the ground last. So I think it's got to be looked at. It's a very good email from Hugh Crawford.
It's an amazing point because why this has happened, my summation of it would be that, you know, the buildings and everything have encroached on all these wild animals and birds and whatever.
Sanctuaries.
Yeah, all their land. And so you look at a place like Zimbabwe, the guy was bitten by a snake there, okay, and a mamba. And because all those buildings have been built there, now there's very little land for these animals and beasts to be in. So when they see a nice strip of grass on Turfentine Racecourse, or just think where would those birds go apart from that to eat a couple of worms in the afternoon? If you were going, you can't go to Kentucky. So what are you going to do? Yeah,
Kentucky's closed down that part of the world too.
Yeah.
So let's say that this I think, all these guys, you mentioned 4 racetracks, Scottsville, Clarewood, Kenilworth and Turfentine. Guys out there, got to look at it. We cannot afford to have an injury. I think some precautions got to be made.
Okay, let's move on. We had emails from Nikita Peterson, Wayne Nika, Bruce Bonnen, and Nikita again, and I think that's it, Bruce Bonnen again. And they're all having a go about what happened at Clarewood last Sunday in the race that My Sanctuary ran.
It's been, debated. For those of you who don't know, the call was made by the Stipendiary Board, and the Chief Staff had to make the call, and he was, a lot of people say, tied by the rules, and the rules saying that if a horse is hampered or slowly out, or what the gate doesn't open in time, whatever reason, there is a non-runner rule that if he runs in the first 4, he has to be declared a runner. Now, again, those rules have got to be reviewed and that, but it's not for me to put it. I think the Jockey Club and the operators are working to try to get around it. But James, I'm going to pose 2 scenarios for you, and then just digress slightly. If you have a situation where a horse runs in the Vodacom Durban July, gate doesn't open, loses a couple of lengths and runs second, and you have an owner saying, I don't care, I want my 1.5 million or whatever I'm getting for second. The same can be said of a novice plate with a 8 to 10 favourite, has been backed in from 2 to 1, the gates doesn't open, it runs second. There's the same outcry for a different reason. Where do you win on situations
Okay, I'll
like this?
tell you what my take is on it. And it's pretty simple. The owners pay for the horse and he's entitled to the stake check.